I can also, there you go. Got it. Thank you so much, Lynn. All right, next slide. All right, so we have a couple of our OIRA folks here in the room today. So my name is Shilpa Salgar. Pronouns are she, her. I'm the Special Projects and Policy Specialist, and I've been overseeing the ISAN program for the past few months. So really excited to get to know you all more and just kind of share about our 2024 to 2025 program. We also have Rhoda Sheck, who is our Finance and Operations Manager, Almadia Michelena, who's our Senior Grants and Contract Specialist, and Lynn Huynh, who's our Administrative Assistant. So you'll see them in the chat. We'll be all here to answer your questions during the question answer period, and all questions that end up in the chat, Lynn is recording them so we can end up posting them at the end of the session as well. Next slide. All right, so for the agenda for the meeting, we've just done the welcome and logistics. We're going to go into a little bit of a background on the ISAN program, and then we're going to go through the RFP overview, submission instructions, some upcoming important dates to remember, and then we'll have our open question and answer period. Next slide. All right, so for the program background, we launched the Immigrant Safety and Access Network program on February 9th, 2023, originally in partnership with King County Office of Equity, Racial, and Social Justice in response to an executive order that the mayor's office created. And this program was really building upon success of our Immigrant Family Institute program, which ran from 2018 to 2020. And we really wanted to aim to establish a network of community-based organizations that provide support for immigrant and refugee families who experience disproportionate harm from violence. And throughout our pilot program that we are just wrapping up, we approached that first year of programming as an opportunity to set baselines and pilot the network model. Next slide. So some of the goals for this program and this RFP is to provide immigrant and refugee victims of gun violence and their families and those impacted by sudden, unnatural, and unexpected death with access to financial support to cover relevant needed expenses. We also want to make sure we're helping to decrease the burden of the impacts of gun violence and sudden death on our immigrant refugee communities, and also offer support for navigating resources through partnerships with our community-based organizations and the ISAN network. So for the funding opportunity that we have about $220,000 that we're intending to distribute to 5 community-based organizations in Seattle that serve immigrant and refugee communities impacted by gun violence and sudden, unnatural, and unexpected death. The contracts will be for 1 year, and the maximum award funding is $41,000 per project. And how we want that to be, distributed based off of our pilot program is $31,000 going to direct cash assistance and $10,000 going for administrative services. So some of the eligible service activities include and are not limited to medical, counseling related expenses, funeral and burial costs, relocation and housing support, and loss of wages. Eligible applicants are community-based 501c3 organizations or community-based organizations under fiscal sponsorship by a 501c3 entity, and funds must be dispersed to Seattle residents. The eligible applicants must comply with applicable federal, state, and local non-discrimination laws and standards, including having non-discrimination hiring practices in place. Further, the applicant should not require payment from participants for the services provided or require participants to participate in religious service or activity as a condition of receiving services. So we have about 5 questions here that are part of the application. So I'll just go through them very briefly. The first one is describe the community you intend to serve, including specific geographic area, racial and ethnic demographics, languages spoken, etc. This is pretty self-explanatory. We're really interested in getting those details on these types of questions just so we can get an overall picture of your organization and who you're serving and where the need is. The second one, does your organization serve clients who have experienced gun violence? Please describe. And yes, we honor client privacy, so please describe that in general terms. And this one, we're just trying to get a better sense of, the people that you're serving currently. What are your current programs for helping the immigrant and refugee community members who experience harm from gun violence? Again, self-explanatory, but we'd like to see detail about those programs and how you're making that connection through this program as well. Does your organization currently have a system for dispersing and recording/reporting cash assistance to clients? Please describe the system used. This is something that we'd want to see a little bit more detail on in terms of your system, what your intake process looks like, and so forth. So please describe that to us in detail and be thorough in your response. And the last question, if you're establishing a new disbursement system, please describe how the new system will be managed. This one as well, in tandem with the previous question, please describe this in detail. If you do have a new model, if you don't have a new disbursement model, feel free to write not applicable. Next slide. All right, so some submission instructions. So these proposals are due to the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs by 5 p.m. on Monday, May 6, 2024. The components are the one copy of the application, including the cover page and the narrative with the 5 questions. And the completed applications should be sent to our OIRA RFP at seattle.gov email. And please make sure that all electronic copies of the application narrative are in PDF or non-editable format. So some important dates to remember that are coming up. We are still accepting questions to that OIRA RFP email, and we'll be receiving those all the way up until April 22nd. And we're planning to post those on that webpage where all of the information is located on our blog by Wednesday, April 24th. And we're also going to be including answers to the questions that we receive within this information session, and we'll have them written out there as well in case you missed anything or you want to refer back to them. The actual applications are due Monday, May 6th, and we will have an application review period from Tuesday, May 7th to Friday, May 10th, with the funding decisions being announced by Monday, May 13th. We have an appeal deadline on Friday, May 17th, and we're hoping that the contracts will start Monday, May 20th. All right, so this is, we wanted to dedicate a large part of this information session to answering any questions you may have. So if you do have questions, please raise your hand. We'll call on you to unmute and ask your question. If you end up having questions after this session, please contact our OIRA RFP at seattle.gov email and until April 22nd, and we'll post those answers, like I mentioned, to those blog posts on April 24th. Any questions? So the funding is coming from the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs. So King County is no longer a funding partner.
Yes, and it is also a general fund. The funding source is the general fund, and it's ongoing programming.
Thank you for your question. Aaron, did you have another question? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's likely better for me to just come off of mute. You mentioned that it's about 220,000, and you did mention that there's about 5 Seattle-based organizations. Do you already kind of have an idea of who those folks are, or how's that work?
So we'll be reviewing all of the applications that come through, and then we'll be making that decision through our review process.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Aaron, do you have another question? I see a thumbs up.
Nope, you had asked, do I have any other questions? And I said, nope, all good
Oh.
on my end. Thank you so much.
All right.
Should we drop off if we don't have any other questions?
Yeah, feel free to. This is more so just kind of like a open question answer period.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Aaron. You too. Yes, Bintu, we will be posting the recording on the website, and we can send it to everyone as well. Does anyone else have any other questions? We're planning to stick around for the duration just to answer anything that you may need. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we can definitely go over that. Lynn, do you mind sharing the screen again so we can go over the eligibility criteria?
Can you see the screen?
I can't right now, no.
Okay, let's try that again. Can you see? I tried to keep sharing, but I don't know what happened. It won't share.
I can't, but I can also just quickly, I can drop it in the chat for the as well, and then we can talk through it if that works.
Keep sharing, but why is that won't share? I think it's sharing, Shupa, so I don't know what happened. It over the side it said it's sharing, so I just don't understand why it's not sharing.
I don't know if Radha, can you see the screen? I can't.
I can't see it either. I wonder if it went over to another screen, Lynn, or if you could reshare it, to go through that process again.
You know what? I am going to drag this over to this area here. And then I'm going to reset that. Now, can you see it? So over my side, it says sharing right here.
I still don't see it. Is there
Any others?
any way you could unshare and then reshare again, Lynn?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. I am unshared. So now I am going to doesn't work.
That's okay. I can drop the text in the chat and then here we go. So this is the eligible applicant criteria. So being a community-based 501c3 organization or a community-based organization under fiscal sponsorship by a 501c3 entity. And the funds must be dispersed to Seattle residents. So eligible applicants must comply with applicable federal, state, local non-discrimination laws and standards, including having non-discrimination hiring practices in place. And further, the applicant shall not require payment from participants for the services provided or require participants to participate in religious service or activity as a condition of receiving services. Any other questions on that or clarification needed? Oh. I think I can see your screen now, Lynn.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We can leave the slides up if that's helpful. And just maybe hover on that question tab. like I said, we'll be sticking around here in case folks have questions. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Have a good day.